Hello and welcome to the Heliosblog. My name is Helios. Today we're going to talk about the Neo-Renaissance. This has not been discussed before my blog, and I think we should talk about it a little. I believe that men are on the cusp of a Neo-Renaissance. The original Renaissance gave birth to what the West is today, and recently, for the past 60 years or so, there has been a Dark Age. Men are waking up to it in surprising numbers. First, a bit of background. Let's begin, shall we? Enjoying my content? Check out my blog at heliosblog.com. On YouTube, you can support me by liking and subscribing. I'm also on Spotify if you'd prefer a podcast. If you're interested in my books, The Strategist Guide to Seduction and Quotes to Live By, they're available on Amazon. In addition, you can follow me on Patreon at theheliosblog for exclusive content. On with the show. The Dark Ages. The original Dark Ages occurred after the fall of the Roman Empire. In the Dark Ages, the keeping of records was greatly reduced. It also marked the greater Christianization of the Western world and a decline in rational thought. Though the term has fallen out of favor, I'm sure you already see parallels between the Dark Ages and the modern era. We've currently moved away from rational thought and towards cultural Marxism and an egalitarian matriarchal society that worships women. The Renaissance. After the Dark Ages, there was a so-called Renaissance rebirth. This Renaissance happened when men discovered ideas that had been forgotten since ancient Roman times and reinterpreted them in a new context. Some of the greatest minds in all of human history appeared during this time, such as Leonardo da Vinci. During the Renaissance, people once again began to focus on rational thought, and this snowballed into modern medicine and the scientific revolution. In many ways, we owe a large part of our Western world to this time period in human history. Of course, the wheel of time turned, and a return to darkness was inevitable. What does it mean that we're in a modern Dark Age? Nowadays, with the death of religion and information so interconnected and widespread, you wouldn't think that it'd be possible to have a Dark Age, but here we are. Rather than information not being available nowadays, information is purposely hidden in piles of trash. Valuable information becomes impossible to find when there's literally a needle in a haystack. The truth of how the world works is hidden behind an active smokescreen. The smokescreen keeps beta men in line, sacrificing themselves for the matriarchy at the expense of their livelihoods and happiness. We're currently in a dark age because most men have no idea the way the real world works and how they've been manipulated for so long to serve the needs of the matriarchy. What is the Neo-Renaissance? The Neo-Renaissance refers to a time, in the relatively near future, when the average man, not just we enlightened alphas, understand how the world works. The average man will understand exactly what has happened to him and why he was a pawn in women's grand game. He'll then apply that knowledge to better his own life rather than sacrificing it for the aims of someone else. When the average man understands that going his own way is the correct way, we'll have a true Neo-Renaissance, a rebirth in understanding and a paradigm shift in male-female dynamics. The social and political upheaval that will be caused as a result of the Neo-Renaissance is going to be massive. What does it mean to be a Neo-Renaissance man? A Neo-Renaissance man does not have his life controlled by the whims of others. He understands that his role was in paving the way for feminism. He understands what his role was in paving the way for feminine supremacy and chooses to stand apart from that. He focuses on a rational stoic approach towards life that favors him as an individual. He is independent and able to think for himself. He is not a slave to women or society. A Neo-Renaissance man understands his value and actively works to cultivate it. What skills does a Neo-Renaissance man need? A Neo-Renaissance man needs to be able to identify what information is valuable and what information needs to be discarded. He needs to know how to take care of himself physically, mentally, and spiritually. He needs to be well read and understand history so it may not repeat itself for him. A Neo-Renaissance man needs to be valuable in multiple ways so that the world does not decide his direction for him. A Neo-Renaissance man needs to cultivate multiple options in his business, social, and sexual life. A Neo-Renaissance man needs to understand that he is a valuable, rare individual who's worth working on. What ideas are important to the Neo-Renaissance? The most important ideas in the Neo-Renaissance are the throwing away of modern feminist thought and cultural Marxism. Specifically, it means to discard the following ideas. These are ideas that should be destroyed. Number 1. Women are perfect, beautiful angels who can do no wrong. Number 2, women should be treated as above men in every avenue of life. Number 3, women and children are more valuable than men. Number 4, women have been oppressed by evil men throughout history. Number 5, everyone is equal regardless of ability or effort. Number 6, women deserve unilateral control over birth and serious relationships. Number 7, women deserve to be married and have children regardless of their previous behavior or life choices. Once these cancerous ideas are thrown away by the average man, the world will realign itself to a new normal, one where women do not have sole dominion over the fate of beta men. The average man will be free of slavery once the average man understands that those ideas above are the result of cultural programming rather than reality. How red pill ideas fit into the neo-Renaissance. Red pill ideas refer to understanding what the real world is like and what women are truly attracted to. A neo-Renaissance man who throws away his woman-worshipping ideas can much more easily fit into a new paradigm of behavior where he can be attractive to the women that he's always wanted to sleep with. Once the average man understands what the real world is like and what women are truly attracted to, he becomes truly competitive in a way that was impossible before. The average man will raise the standard for all of humanity. Humans as a species will forge ahead ever stronger as the competition for women becomes much more fierce, but also much more fair. People will not be born into slavery for the female cause. Women will also have to adapt to this new situation and be much more convincing in order for men to want to be in relationships with them. The reclamation of power through knowledge. Effectively, once the average man learns the truth and not just an enlightened group of individuals, men will have reclaimed power from women. Relationships will be a much more egalitarian prospect as men understand what women are really like and use their logic and abilities to their advantage in order to secure what they desire from women. Men will no longer be slaves to the matriarchy and put into mental prisons from birth. Natural selection will still happen, but the average man will have a chance at happiness. Men will no longer be churned by the grinder of divorce, as the average man understands exactly why women enter into those kind of relationships in the first place. Takeaways from the Neo-Renaissance. As a result of the Neo-Renaissance, the world will be tumultuous. After the upheaval, however, the world will settle into a much fairer place for men. Women will no longer enjoy the worshipped status they have today, but they'll still be respected for who they are as human beings. Average men will have a chance at true happiness again. History tells us that the truth cannot be hidden forever. In the same way that people learn that the earth revolved around the sun, and now the average 5-year-old laughs at anyone saying otherwise, the average person will know women's true nature in time, and the paradigm shift of the world will be similar. Brace yourselves, the Neo-Renaissance is inevitable. Conclusion. In the same way that there was a dark age previously, there is one now. The difference in this dark age is one of obfuscation rather than lack of records. The truth of how the world really works and what women are really like will be revealed in time to the average man. Once the average man understands what we enlightened few do, the Neo-Renaissance will have begun in earnest. The world will never be the same once that happens, much as it changed once we learned that the earth orbits around the sun. Be wise and judicious, and prepare for the coming cultural tide.